Hello, Mr. Aaron Watts. Wattsy, my man. Thank you so much for jumping on this call with me. So for those people watching, let's do a bit of an intro as to who you are and why you reached out to me. Shall we do that? What do you do for work? What do you do with your spare time? Who do you live with?
Okay. Well, I work on the railway, have for the last 10 years. What do I do with my spare time? Cook, hang out with friends, my missus, my dogs. How we met, lived, was what I'm going to guess and say, 12, 13, 14 years ago?
Yeah, we used to have some mutual friends.
At an Aussie hip-hop concert or two.
Yep, or
And
two. We love the same sort of music.
We had many gigs meeting at random nights out with mates, but it's been a long time since I've done something like that. But it was probably a year and a half ago when I reached out to you. I always had you on Facebook, and it was the constant barrage of all the shit you put on social media that I was like, all right, you've got my interest, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to message this woman, and then we went from there. Join the team.
What made you think, okay, so for context, let's go back a couple of steps. How many properties did you have before you met me, before you reached out to me?
I had two.
And what was the reason for you reaching out to me thinking I need live?
Well, I guess it's just the numbers that you were putting up piqued my interest. And I'm one of those people, I'm like, as much as I love my job, I don't want to work until I'm, 70 years old. So this looks like a pretty good avenue to explore. So yeah, I hit the DMs and slid in.
And slid into the DMs that you
That's
did.
it.
And tell me, what do you think you were stuck on the most with your property portfolio at that time? If we step back a year or two ago, what were you really stuck on?
Easy. I was lacking knowledge in a big way.
Was there anything because you were quite bullish when you came to me and you're like, I want to get into real estate. Was there anything you were nervous about when it comes to property investing?
I think back then there probably was a little bit of fear still, but now knowing a hell of a lot more, not saying that I know everything because I definitely don't. I still bug you on the daily, but I think just over the last, it's been probably 18 months of us talking on a frequent basis, joining the team, being in search of property, purchasing a property, etc. I've obviously taken in a lot of knowledge, and now that fear isn't really there, especially when you have a good team behind you. I'm just like, nah. For a bit of context, settled on the property last week on Wednesday, and Thursday, the next day after settlement, and yourself another payment to get back in the active search list to buy another one.
Yeah, amazing. All right, so to give a bit of context, what else have we also done in the process of working together? You've done another big move. Tell the team. Did you sell something?
Yeah, we sold one house that wasn't exactly a good purchase. I learned after purchasing, which is always probably the wrong order to go about it. But hey, it's a lesson that you only need to learn once. It's definitely what I've taken away from the situation.
Yeah. Can you high level explain why did we decide that made sense for you to sell that property?
High level explain. I don't know if I can high level explain, but in a nutshell,
you just explain in your own words.
In my own words, it was a shit investment. The price of the property versus the rent, so the yield of it was subpar. The growth after the team did a little bit of a dig into that suburb where I decided to purchase was like growth is minimal over the coming years. And obviously speaking to you, and then from a borrowing point, it kind of hindered me in a borrowing capacity as well. So yeah, it was like, all right, just get rid of it ASAP, and that's what we did. And it was on the market for maybe 6-7 weeks, and then I got an offer, and I was like, just good, done, get rid of it.
Well done. I'm so proud of you for making that move, because a lot of people are quite emotional with their real estate, and they'll just keep holding on to duds because they're like, they can't accept that they bought something that's holding them back. And believe it or not, it's a real problem that people have that not willing to let go of real estate. So your property, essentially the reason why we sold that one was it didn't tick any of the 3 main boxes, which we teach that you need to scale a portfolio. So you need to buy established houses so that you can add value to them, aka do a renovation on them. And that was a brand new build. Yes, it wasn't in the top 1% suburb at all. So there was no capital growth perspective for 18 months as far as our future AI data goes out to. And then on top of that, it was also heavily negatively geared, so it's bringing down your borrowing capacity a lot as well in terms of the yield that you were going to get. Yeah. And then also we talked about then selling that property and replacing the next ones with some other structures, non-financial advice. We won't talk about that on this call, but some other structures and entities that we can do to protect the borrowing capacity as well moving forward. So now it's really like unlocking it.
Definitely.
Sorry?
I said which we have done since.
Yes. And now we're on to the next one, and then we're going to get to the next one, which is all good. And you're just like hustling at the moment in your job, keeping that borrowing capacity up high, making sure we're buying in the right areas, making sure we're buying in the right entities now. So you're going to be good. Here's a fun fact as well. Team also did up a portfolio planner. What did you think? What was your first initial thought when we drew up your portfolio planner and the results that you're going to get is $394,000 of passive income to live off. Now, it's a long time away. It's 20 years away, but that's how long we should be looking at is 15 to 20-year windows. What did you think when the team was like, here, Aaron, you're going to basically be able to live off $400K of passive income in 20 years? What was your first feeling?
Yeah, well, look, thinking about $400K now, I'm like, $400K right now would be fantastic. 20 years, we don't know what $400K is going to buy, whether it's a lavish lifestyle or a loaf of bread. So I'm kind of, in one side of it, I'm kind of like, yeah, look, that's a great number. But then I'm like, inflation, who knows what 400K is going to mean in that sort of time frame. So
I love you. I love the fact that you've just been such an amazing student because you get the core principles of like the poor are getting poorer and the rich are getting richer. And you understand and you've taken away the inflation and money understanding of the Ponzi scheme that we live in is that they're just like printing money. And you understand that like, okay, that $400,000, that'll probably just be enough for me to maintain your lifestyle of what you're living now.
Yep.
It's so interesting because people come to me saying, yeah, Lev, I want like $200,000 or $300,000 of passive income. And I think to myself, great, we can aim for it, but just to let you know, it doesn't mean you're going to be retired. That'll just fucking put a roof over your head in like 15 to 20 years from now.
Unless you decide to pack up and move to like a Thailand or a Bali where your money goes a little bit further.
Yeah, a third world country or a non-income taxable country, yes, which Dubai just removed as well. So, yes, you're right. Who knows? Maybe that's where we'll start flooding to. I do believe that that'll be the future as well. People will have to start. They'll have no other option, but they'll have to start either living with multiple families. It will be rare to know anyone to be able to go overseas. Multiple generations will have to live together. It'll be normal for everyone to have a full-time job and a part-time job on top of their full-time. Like, it will just be the norm just to get by, which will be weird.
Not really a exciting sounding life to me.
No. What does motivate you? Why do you want to invest in real estate? Or why are you so bullish in real estate?
I think it's both. So there's an aspect of wanting just the freedom of not having to get up and go to work, which don't get me wrong, I'm one of the few people, I think I'm lucky. I love my job. I work with great people. I get paid more than I probably deserve. But at the same time, it's like, I think being able to wake up whenever you want, do whatever you want and not have to worry about the concept of money is probably the biggest end goal for me. And then when you have that ability to do so, you can turn around and do something like yourself and learn to help others and give back to people, or even just help out the friends and family that are around you. On the other side, there's also a big element of fear because I'm like, I see all this stuff, and the unknown of what's coming. So it's like, I kind of want to make sure I'm not in the firing line when that kind of stuff comes down, where, like you said, like there's, multiple generations living in one house or, working 2 or 3 jobs just to get by. I'm like, I want to hopefully have established enough before that happens to not have to be in that category, I guess. So it's a little bit of both sides of the coin, really. A bit of freedom and a bit of fear all attached into one.
Perfect. I think that's a great balance, a good bundle. We need fear. Humans, fun fact, is humans are driven by fear, not by attaining the thing that we're actually after. And you're doing this, for context, you're doing this all on your own, so you don't have a partner involved in the investing side. Is that right?
Not currently, no. So it's just myself financially involved.
Yeah. What was it like? I'm getting a bit deep here, but what was it like financially? What was it like for you watching your parents with what they achieved growing up and their money stories? Like, what were some of the biggest money stories that you learned from them?
All the stories that I've learned from, don't get me wrong, I love my parents, but the majority of what I feel like our whole generation has been fed growing up is to And it's funny because I still work with guys that are in that 50 to 60-year-old generation. They're like, pay off your debt. And I was like, nah, bro, I'm not paying it off. It's what they've been raised to believe, that, the whole debt is bad. And it's funny to see how different one generation is from the other. That's what I've learned. Like the fellows that I work with that are a lot older than me, even like my mum and my dad, careful, too much debt. I'm like, if you can pay it month to month, who gives a shit? Get more.
Get more. I love this. For anyone watching this, debt is irrelevant with inflation. The amount that they're printing money at the moment is really 12%. CPI is not the real measurement of inflation. It's actually 12%. It's called the M2 and M3 money supply. Look it up. Anyway, so that means that our debt is being literally chewed away by 12% without us doing anything. If we just had all of our loans on principal and interest, pay down no principal on our loans, literally the debt will just deplete by 12% compounding per year. So, Aaron, let's fucking get as much debt as we can.
That's the plan. Well, I literally just had to go into the bank. I remember I spoke to you. I had to go into the bank to get like the whole accounts rolled together, and mine's just clicked almost 7 figures. So I'm like, it's reasonable now.
Almost 7 figures of debt. You don't have enough.
Well, tell me about it. Hey, look, I'm waiting by the phone for the team to call me, and I literally had a dream the other night that I got a call, like, we found another property for you. And then I woke up and I was like, fuck, didn't actually happen.
It'll happen. It's funny, there's, have you been watching Grant Cardone lately? Do you follow him?
Not a way. Yeah, I think I do, yeah. I feel like if you don't interact with their stuff, they disappear on your feed half the time.
I definitely recommend you also watching a very, very important, actually, I don't think I've told you this. Make sure you watch, there's a really cool, call it a doco/reality TV show. It's called Undercover Billionaire.
I've seen the one where he does it, where Grant does it. I've watched that.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Okay, watch the whole series. Have you watched the whole series?
The one with him I have. It's just like, or is there like other people that go in and do the same thing, is there?
There are other seasons where other people do it. Yeah.
Okay, I've watched the one with Grant in it, because it was like a 6-hour like YouTube video that I watched over the course of a few days when I had downtime at work. Yeah.
Oh. For anyone who's watching this, I highly recommend watching Undercover Billionaire. I think it's on Foxtail, so you might have to download the app for a little bit, get the free subscription, 14 days, get it, watch it. But it's season 2 that Grant Cardone's on, not season 1. I recommend it because it's a good for understanding about money and real estate, because he's obviously the only guy that does real estate as well. And, Grant talks a lot about even like risk mitigation as well. If you are riddled with debt, for anyone who's scared of people coming after your shit, if you're riddled with debt, people can't come after you because you're riddled with debt. And if that debt is then cash flowing, then like, okay, try and come after my assets. And there's this story of where Grant Cardone years ago the bank was trying to recall his loans and all of this sort of stuff over in America. And he's like, the problem is I didn't have enough debt. If I had more debt, they would have come after me and tried to ask for my money back. But he did get away with a little bit of it. So, lesson from Grant Cardone. Also, the bigger you are, yes, there is a saying in that world that like the bigger you get, the more that people will come after your money, or more successful you are, the more you'll be sued. And if you're not being sued, then you're probably not successful enough. And also the latter is true, which is if you don't have enough debt, you're more of an easier target. So, interesting. Yep. But anyway, I went on a bit of a ramble there. Aaron, let's wrap this one up and let's just do some final words. If there was anyone in your shoes, so if we go back to just before you spoke to me, anyone else in your shoes who's got like a couple of properties, they're stuck on their portfolio, they're similar age to you, similar income, what advice would you give them?
Speak to you. No brainer.
DM. Get into the DMs.
Hit the DMs.
Is just being able to put your ego aside and say, I'm not experienced in this niche. I put my ego aside on certain things. I have an entire team of 22 PhD data scientists, right, who source the properties for me and negotiate the properties for me, right? That costs me money too. And I pay for that. Just like everyone else, my team, like that costs me too. It's so weird because like over in America, they look at us like we're weird people. They're like, you Australians buy property without an expert? Because over in America, it's a 1-to-1 ratio for sales reps, so selling real estate agents versus buyers agents. Whereas over here, it's a 1-to-100. So for every 100 real estate agents we have here, we only have one buyer's agent. And so it's not normal, but it's becoming more normal. Like the trend is definitely in the last, I'd say 4 to 5 years, there's been a massive uptick in people understanding what a buyer's agent is and the value that they add and whatnot. But you as a mindset and as a skill to be able to put that ego aside and then also be able to say, I need to outsource this to an expert on this particular niche, right? It's like me when, I think I'm pretty savvy when it comes to taxes, right? I love to think that I'm really good at taxes and from both property investing and business perspective, but I still have 3 accountants that I pay for. And I pay the same 3 accountants for the same question. I triple up. And I tell you what, you learn something different and they give you a different answer every time.